This is Upstarts, and we welcome you to a special edition of the program to X-ray Nigeria MSMEs Moonshot Ideas, designed to bring about the development of Nigeria. It was John F. Kennedy in his annual inauguration address that said, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country." As Nigeria continues to stutter in development, and knowing that MSMEs are the drivers of development in terms of job creation and wealth generation, we will be bringing to you the Moonshot Project Ideas of De-mbarukas Limited for Nigeria's mining sector. My name is Osai Ilome, and I'm your anchor. Let's get started, but first, here is the focus sector statistics as it currently stands. In the 1940s, Nigeria was considered a major producer of tin, columbite, and coal. However, the discovery of oil in 1956 decapitated the interest and commitment of the government and the people of Nigeria in the mineral extraction industries, as government and industries both began to focus on this new resource. From being considered as a major producer in mining minerals in the 1940s, by 2017, the mining of minerals in Nigeria now accounts for only 0.3% of Nigeria's gross domestic product. This is largely due to the influence of government concentration on its vast oil resources. Today, the domestic mining industry is considered to be underdeveloped, leading to Nigeria having to import minerals that it could produce domestically, such as salt and iron ore. Information from the Mineral and Metal Promotion Center of the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development reveals that in 2017, 44 different types of minerals had been discovered in 500 locations across the country. These minerals could be used for industrial and domestic purposes, and most instructive among these discoveries is the discovery of rare earth minerals used for high-techs. And of course, we are in the technological age. This type of minerals is used for military weaponries as well as technological advancement inventions. And we can attest to how China has used the supply of the rare earth minerals to the United States of America to sometimes soften the United States of America's position in the ongoing trade dispute between the United States and China. In the midst of this abundance, we can all agree that past administrations have not been able to judiciously harness these minerals, and therefore it is important to recognize the Buhari's administration's commitment to transforming Nigeria's economy from oil resources driven to mining of minerals. In demonstration of that commitment, President Buhari has appointed two accomplished professionals from the field of environmental practice to architectural accolades. Experts agree that the appointment of architect Olamileko Adegbite, Minister of Mines and Steel Development, and Dr. Oga Uchichukwu as Minister of State, Mines and Steel Development is a testament to that commitment. As noted earlier, it is the MSMEs that drive the economic progress of any country. Therefore, on this special edition of Upstarts, we shall be looking at the creative and innovative ideas that MSMEs are designing and implementing for the mines and steel industry. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Hi, my name is Miche Bios. I want to become a creative writer like Chimamanda Adichie.
Oh yes, there is an increasing need for creativity and innovation now and in the future. Over the last decades, innovation and creativity have become critical skills for achieving success in developed economies and must-have for developing economies. The need for creative problem-solving skills has arisen as more and more management problems require creative insights in order to find suitable solutions. A recent IBM poll of 1,500 CEOs identified creativity as the #1 leadership competency of the future. What is creativity? Merely having the knowledge, curiosity, and imaginations does not guarantee the formation of new patterns. The bits and pieces must be shaken up and iterated in new ways. Then the embryonic ideas must be evaluated and developed into visible and usable ideas. This is what births creativity. In order to understand the human creative process, you first must understand the three important levels of creativity, which are discovery, invention, and creation. Are you being creative in your workplace? Or put differently, do you have the creative spirit and skills? The authors of the book, Mr. King, served as the president of LG Therapeutics, a joint venture company established between the Vietnamese government and the Korea's LG Group. Mr. Sailome is a veteran development journalist and social entrepreneur. In this book, you will find incisive and insightful exposition on the origin and source of creativity and innovation. Get a copy for yourself and for your children. You can reach us on 07035 567948 or osai.ilome@gmail.com. The contacts are now showing on your screen. De-mbarukas Limited is a public limited liability company founded in 2001 by Mr. Joseph Isaiah Akpan, an entrepreneur par excellence with over 20 years of professional practice spanning from outdoor advertising, human resource management, and environmental consultancy services. With a 6-men and women board of directors, efficient staff members, and an imposing corporate edifice located in the center of Uyo, the capital of Akwa Ibom State, De-mbarukas Limited has carved a niche in the environment and general contract services. As a responsible corporate citizen, De-mbarukas Limited possesses up-to-date relevant certifications and documents for bid pre-qualification as required by the Bureau of Public Procurement (BPP) for the environmental services and general contracts sector. In its 18 years of operation, De-mbarukas Limited has satisfactorily provided quality and value-added services to federal and state governments, multilateral and multinationals, as well as the top-performing companies and corporations in Nigeria. As a strategic policy goal, De-mbarukas Limited research system is designed to ensure that their clients' primary project objectives are met without detrimentally affecting the sustainable management of the environment. It is on this strength that De-mbarukas Limited is bringing their wealth of experience to bear in the Nigerian salt mining sector, with the objective of ensuring that Nigeria harnesses the opportunities that salt can offer the economy in a sustainable and environmentally friendly ways. Recently, the annual world production of salt has exceeded 250 million tons. Approximately 1/3 of the total is produced by solar evaporation of sea water or inland brines. The chemical industry is the largest salt consumer, using about 60% of the total production. The second largest consumer of salt is mankind. Humans need about 30% of the total salt produced to support their physiological functions and eating habits. In 2018, stakeholders in solid mineral sector called for the full exploitation of the huge salt deposits in some states across the country for local consumption and export. A recent survey indicated that some states had large deposits of salt, but virtually all the states had not really utilized the mineral resources to develop their economies. The stakeholders particularly expressed dismay that Nigeria still imports salt for its local consumption, and over $23 billion or 3.6 trillion naira have been reportedly spent on salt importation in the last 10 years. De-mbarukas Limited is answering that call.
Yeah, the purpose is to meet with the minister. He is an environmentalist, and now he is in the Ministry of Mines, garnered a lot of experience that should help the mine sector develop. Basically, we know that mining impacts a lot on the environment, because actually it is a removal of certain elements in the environment. So we feel that having been experienced in environment, we should be able to collaborate with the Honorable Minister on matters having to do with mining and environment. I'm expecting the Minister to be able to develop the mine sector, especially infrastructures, make it possible for miners to mine. We know the petroleum sector is also mining, but that sector was developed over time. And we also need the sector of solid mineral and steel development to be developed extensively.
Last year, Nigeria flared about 324 billion standard cubic feet of gas through 139 gas flare locations spread across the Niger Delta, both in onshore and offshore oil fields, according to the Department of Petroleum Resources. This is despite Nigeria's effort at increasing utilization and commercialization of flared gas over the years, which has brought Nigeria's ranking as the world's fifth highest gas flaring country to the current 7th position. According to experts, this is capable of generating over 300,000 jobs, attracting over $3.5 billion investment into Nigeria, and has a capacity to bring about 350 million carbon credit value. Here is De-mbarukas Limited Managing Director, Mr. Joseph Isaiah Akpan, presenting strategically their moonshot ideas to the Honorable Minister and the Honorable Minister for State for Mines and Steel Development.
The purpose of my being here is to tell the Honorable Minister that when I look at the appointment and his selection into the Ministry of Mines, I took a little time out to look at his pedigree in environmental areas. I noticed that he's a core environmentalist. I have seen that in his education and practice. I also see as an architect, he has made some very meaningful landscape. The Union Bank House is one of his designs, and it is still in our memory and it's still standing tall for people to see. He is now in the Ministry of Mines, which is related to what he did as the Commissioner of Works. You know, in works, you use a lot of information and structures from mines. So he is not new to mines. With his pedigree, I see that he can mine successfully. My reason for thinking so and wishing to come to see him and tell him we appreciate that you are the person handling mines is that mining activity, most of it affects the environment. It affects the soil, it affects the structure, and it affects the general makeup of our ecological system. And now, a miner being an environmentalist, you can see that the balance will be drawn, and this will really work good to our natural environment and the earth. So with this, we as an environmentalist too, in an environmental consultancy company, we say let's come and extend a hand to one of our own. And then talk to him on some ideas that can help the mining sector, and which is, these ideas are quite environmental in nature. We carefully looked at the mining of things like salt, common salt. In statistics, we see that apart from China, USA, and India, these are top miners of salt, and most of our salt are imported. And we ask ourselves, do we have salt? The simple answer is yes. The next thing is, can we mine it sustainably and positively affect our environment? Our next answer to that also is yes. How so? If we look at the shorelines of the country, from Jamestown to Utaiwa, that is about the longest shoreline in West Africa. And what is happening there? We have sea water. All salt is from the ocean. Either the one you mine that has consolidated over centuries and now are crystallized, you can dig them up, or you mine them from fresh ocean water. Now, we have a shoreline that extends about 30 kilometers, a total of 1,200 square meters. What are we doing with this shoreline? And this shoreline is depleting yearly, because the shoreline depletes yearly. Now, what do we need in mining salt? Salt is there in the ocean in abundance. About 38% of the seawater, is salt. Now, how is it done in other countries? What is done is to reclaim the shoreline, have buckets of structures for the storage of the seawater, and then you dry it. You dry it with what? We have enough sunlight. With a convex structure of length to cover, because one of the things that bother salt harvesting in tropics is rain. If you keep it like that, rain comes, it saturates it again. Now, you cover it with convex structure that provides a convex length situation. And what happens with convex length? We are very familiar when we were young in primary school. You take your convex length outside and point it to the sun, and you will use it to burn maybe paper or something like that. What happens? Heating. Now, we have a lot of sunlight along the shoreline. We provide this, put the seawater there, put convex length structure, and then along the shoreline, we'll be having pools of ponds of salt water to harvest salt from. Additionally, my honorable minister, in the South, we flare gas. Along that shoreline, a lot of gas flaring is taking place. This gas, we don't, because what actually affects the mining industry is power. Mining takes a lot of power. But with gas flared along this zone we are talking about, we can now heat our salt quicker with vapor, because already the gas is there. We don't need turbine generators and big this to heat up and bring up our salt. We have gas that they are flaring and it is going. Now, we get that gas along there, along with the natural sunlight and the gas that is present there. You see that the cost of our producing salt will be so low because we are not paying for power, so to say. And most of the salt we import, they come from other countries. Think of the custom, think of travels, think of boats, the patches and things like that, bringing salt into the country, and then Dangote, because this is almost the only oil processing company, will now process and bag them. If we produce salt here, he can process them and bag them, and then we will be having huge resources. So De-mbarukas thought about this, and how can we use the shoreline? How can we use the free sunlight and the gas that is being flared? So we see this could be a very good venture, and it should start with the ministry, because the Ministry of Mines have the key to it. The mineral in the salt water belongs to the Ministry of Mines. So they are the only people that can give approval for the mining of salt from the resources of the nation. And one of such resources is the sea water. Now, other stakeholders would be assisted to come in. For example, we are talking about gas. The Ministry of Mines will now, because they want to build infrastructure. They want to build infrastructure for miners to come in. And then private sectors can take up from there. Once we have structures and capacity, it is easy to attract foreign investors. And we can even take them up locally. With Ministry of Mines granting a permit for the harvesting of salt, it is very easy to approach the state government, who also are willing to bring investment to their state. What are they doing with the shoreline? The state government now, because ownership of land is the state's. The state government now comes in with this and grants the land, gives C.O. for the use of the land for this purpose, and then we have the commitment of the those in charge of gas supplying us with gas. And you know, it is so easy to transport it at that point. Whereas one of those things that is disturbing mining in the northern part of Nigeria is taking products mined on road. It takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of resources before you can, mined products are usually very heavy. They are stone-like and they are heavy. But this one, you are taking it across the shoreline of the nation, and we all know how cheap it is to transport by sea than by air and road. So movement of this to factories using the river Niger, river Benue, it makes it easy. So the transportation becomes even cheaper also. So these are the things we sit down and say, as someone conscious in environment, a conscious environmentalist that our minister is, and would want to produce in a way that cuts down pollution. By this, what are we simply doing? We cut down pollution of gas flaring, and we use it for a purpose that can generate revenue. We can export these salts, and we can use them domestically. Apart from the sodium chloride, which is the table salt, there are other dissolved chemicals in the ocean water, which also do trace, but in accumulation of harvesting of sodium chloride, you will have these ones too in reasonable quantity for use by our companies in production of several other matters.
Good morning. On behalf of the Minister and the entire Ministry of Mines and Steel, we welcome you and your team to this great ministry. Well, I thank you that you have spoken about so much about issues that concerns investment, and we are here because we are here to attract investors. We'll be willing to partner with you in all the areas that will help you to bring in all the necessary investment into this ministry that will help us to grow employment and generate revenue for the entire nation. So we welcome you, we appreciate you, and we pledge our unalloyed support to every investor coming into this country. And also you are an indigene who is so interested in coming in with so much passion to the area where you have just stated. I know that the Honorable Minister will be able to go in details when he's making his remarks. So thank you, welcome, I appreciate your coming. I'll pray that with the investment you have talked about, in the next few months or years, we'll be expecting deliverables from you. Thank you.
This is a very good idea, especially just like you mentioned. The Dangote, I know Dangote produces salt, maybe the only one. There used to be I think he bought that company. There used to be a company in Joko in Ota, National Salt Company of Nigeria, or something like that. I think Dangote bought that company over. Let's see, if they don't mine salt locally, I mean, this is a very good idea that is brought. Sincerely, I know that people talk about sea salt. I thought there was another form of salt somewhere. But sea salt is better than the other one. But from what Mr. Pan is saying that all of them come from the sea anyway. So this is a good business idea which we could develop. Also, Mr. Akpan, we appreciate if you just give us a small literature on this, to capture the essence of what you have said. And we can begin to work into a business idea, and this is something that we can present to investors as they come in. Even there are a lot of local investors who will look at something that can fetch them money, and from the way this is, it promises quick return. So we thank you for coming in, and of course we'll do our bit on this. We need to develop into a business model so that that is bankable. We'll do this maybe when you give us this, and like I said, the relevant agency or department that's responsible here will look into that. But basically, we need to develop into something that's a model that's bankable, that we can present to even local investors. Because from the way you said it, it seems simple and straightforward enough. The issue of the gas, that might be the issue, but I guess maybe you can bypass the gas and look for, because from where the gases are being flared, you probably need to pipe, and that's an issue that may not make it so simple anymore, because piping gas to those areas where you want to use them, that's another issue entirely. A lot of crossing a lot of areas, contending with communities and stuff like that. So that's maybe an issue. But the basic thing, collecting the seawater itself, allowing the salt to come out of it, maybe you're going to do it by the natural method, allow the sun to dry it. Maybe that will take a longer period, without the gas and all that. Those are the things to look at and develop into a business model so that it becomes bankable. So thank you so much for coming. We appreciate your coming today. We look forward to more collaboration with you in future. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching. Do you have a moonshot idea that can catalyze quantum development for Nigeria? Do you have a project that you know that will bring about development in terms of wealth generation and job creation? Contact us on the details now shown on your screen, and we are sure to feature you on this special edition of Upstarts. Thank you. See you next week.